Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Jimmy Walker here again. In this tutorial, we're going to continue working on the Chevy S10. I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and work on the doors a little bit, and then we'll probably go ahead and add the grill in. So, yeah, we're just going to jump right on in here. So for me today, it is actually Wednesday. Don't know why that's important, or if it even matters. I don't think it matters, but, hey, it's whatever. It's Wednesday. I'm not going to say I'm happy about it, but I'm not exactly unhappy about it. I'm just, meh, it's Wednesday. Hope y'all are doing pretty good. So, anyways, yeah, all I'm going to do is create a cube. I'm going to set it right here in the center of the doorway. I'm just going to take these vertices back here. And I know I was scaling a cube just a little while ago. Not really what you'd call an important step. I'm going to press 1 on this so that's why I can match these edges up with these. I'm going to do the same thing with this. But anyways, it's not really an important step. It's just an extra step you can take if you choose to. So basically I want all these edges to match up with all these edges. This way whenever I smooth it, it will, it'll be the something. It'll be more of what I'm looking for. That's pretty much just it. It's just more of what I'm looking for. So, yeah, just grab these and pull these out. And the fender doesn't quite line up with the back panel here, so I'm going to have to change that up a little bit. So anyways, let's go into my side view. Let's see, so this vertex, we need to move up just a little bit. Yep, moved it 1 too many pixels up. And then this one right here, now, these don't have to be exact, but the closer you can get them, as always, the better off you'll be. So that's pretty much the biggest premises of this, is I'm just trying to get it where it's closely lined up. The closer you can get it, like I said, the better off you'll be. I'm going to add one right there. I'm just going to grab this vertex. I'm going to move this one, or not vertex, but I'm going to create an edge loop. And I'm going to move this and probably something kind of like that. So, yeah, just pretty simple. Let me go ahead and make sure all these are flat, and they are, so that's good. The only thing is that this actually kind of curves down, which I think we can probably live with that. That's not a real big deal. The only reason why that's not a big deal, because that'll kind of curve up, and you probably won't even notice anyways. So I'm going to grab this bottom face right here. I'm going to go ahead and extrude on down. I'm going to press G on the keyboard. I'm going to do it one more time. And this one I'm going to come down to right about here. So I'm going to go back into vertice, or vertex, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. You know what I'm talking about. Come on, guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, all I'm going to do is just start grabbing these edges. I'm just going to pull these in. I'm actually just trying to match the fender where just a little bit sticks out. I'll actually go in and refine these a little bit later on. For this bottom one, you actually have to grab all bottom vertices, because if you just try to do the edge tool, you're only going to grab, even by double-clicking, you're only going to grab this bottom edge. And we obviously do not want that. Alright, so right here, it looks like the cab of the truck. We actually need another edge loop in here, so I'm going to turn on this tool right here. This will show me my wires and everything. And then I'll just add an edge right in there. Now this one looks like it's pretty well flat. So afterwards I'm just going to scale out like so. I'm going to double click on this one, scale this one. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and press plus a couple of times on the keyboard. This way when I scale it out, I have a little bit more to work with. And by scaling these out, you're actually making this as a uniform edge. So I'm going to grab this edge right here. Actually, I think I'm going to grab both of these. This way, whenever I scale out, it'll stay uniform. Yeah, see, my problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my side view. Where are you at? Right here, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to go into my side view. And after I've selected all those vertices, I'm going to press plus on the keyboard probably twice again. Just going to scale these out just a little bit, not too much. I'm going to go ahead and move it back to where it was. There we go. Let me go ahead and save that. So the reason why I don't want to move these out too much, because if you smooth it, if you move them out too much, you'll actually see this, let me turn off wireframe. Sometimes you'll see like this little blob right here. And that's really what I'm trying to stay away from. So anyways, yeah, other than that, that's really all it is. And also, in that same breath, I'm also trying to make all of these match up as close as I can get them. So like right here, these don't quite match up. Yeah, it's like this back here. In this case, I can probably just take these vertices back here. I can just move these out just a little bit. You know, something kind of like that. I'm not moving them too much, by the way. I'm just moving them just a little bit. It's okay if we have a slight curve to it. I just don't want something that's too extreme. If it's real extreme, then you know you're going to start seeing like where the whole thing just kind of like curves on in, and we're trying to keep away from that because these trucks are fairly flat. If you remember in the previous reference images I took a look at, or that we looked at, I don't know if y'all looked at them with me or not. I'm just going to assume that we did because you know y'all are awesome, y'all are great, y'all are fantastic. So anyways, we need to go ahead and extrude this up now. I'm going to extrude it up about here. These two lines right here, this is actually going to be the black part that runs around the window. Sometimes they're chrome. They're not always black, but I'm just going to say that they're black for now. I'm going to move that one up there. This one can stay here, but one thing I do want to do is I want to grab all these vertices. I'm just going to pull them back just a little bit more, and you know try to get that a little bit tighter. So the next thing we need to do is go into our edge loop tool. We're going to create an edge loop right here. We're going to create one right here. And this way we can go into face. We'll go into face. And now we have those two faces to work with. We'll go ahead and extrude these up. I'm going to extrude them here. I'm going to do another one. Then I'm going to do one more right about here. So I'm not really worried about lining up the edges again. I just want to line these edges up right here. So that's all I'm really focused on at this point. Anyways, now I could move all these up. I'm actually going to leave this one right here for now, and I'll manipulate it later on if I have to. We're going to frame in on those. Yeah, and anytime I say frame in on something, that's me saying just press F on the keyboard. So this way, in case some of you are wondering, like, y'all are watching these videos a little late, and you're like, what the hell is this dude talking about? How does he make the camera move? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I just press F on the keyboard, and it allows me to move into the selected object or selected components that I want to view. So for this one, I'm actually going to move this one down here and move it back, something kind of like that. Come on, Maya, you can do it. Alright, so now is what I want to do. I want to select all these vertices right here. And then I'm just going to start moving them inwards, like so. Okay, so we'll have to manipulate this here in just a second, which won't be an issue at all, I promise. Then we'll just move these in. So those look like they match up. And we'll move these in as well here in just a little bit. Got to pull these out some, just a little bit. Then I'll go move these in, and you can just move them all in, like on one side, and then work your way back on the other side. It doesn't really matter if you do both sides at the same time or not. I'm just doing it that way because, you know, why not? Move this in just a little bit, and maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so we have a little bit of deforming there, and the reason why we're going to have that is because this right here, this monstrosity. So one thing we can do to fix that is we could simply just bring this out. I mean, yeah, that would work, but then you still have the fender problem. And there's a few ways we can get around this. There are a few ways. So I'm honestly trying to think of what the best way to do it is. Not even going to lie. While I'm thinking about that, let me go ahead and select these vertices right here. I'm just going to go ahead and move these in right about there. I'm going to press 3 on the keyboard. So now we got this wonderful shape. Oh wait, we still got to do the top. Not a problem. Let's go into the side view real quick. And let's go ahead and add some edge loops. We're going to add an edge loop right about here, and we'll do another one right about here. And so then we'll go ahead and grab the faces. Just shift, selecting these, and then I'm holding down Control and deselecting these. So this way just these faces that are facing each other are selected. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. I'm going to go into Edge. I'm going to double click on this edge, and I'm going to hold down Shift and double click on this edge, and then we'll just hit Bridge. And so now we got this nice shape right here that is basically making the profile of the window. Obviously, if you press 3 on the keyboard, you'll see that still doesn't quite line up, but we will mess with that here in a little bit. I'm actually trying to keep from doing that right now until I can get this little booger fixed. My dogs are just being wacky. I'm like, one of the dogs that I call the Powder Puff is chewing on a lock. It's like, really? Like, my dogs are so weird. Do y'all have weird dogs, or are y'all's dogs pretty normal? I say normal kind of like loosely. Yeah, I don't know. Yay, retarded dogs. Okay. So anyways, I'm thinking is what I'm going to do. If I can select what I want. I'm going to select these 3 faces. Well, let me go ahead and select these as well. No, not that one. Select that one. And I'm actually going to click on Extrude. I'm just going to move these over. I know it doesn't quite look right just yet, but you'll see what I'm doing here in just a second. So now that I have these selected, I'm going to go into Vertex. I'm going to select these and deselect everything down here. So now I know I just have these vertices selected. And I'm just going to move them, in position about like that. I need to go into my side view though. So my side view, I'm going to move them something kind of like that, I'm thinking. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of rotation, because that just looks all sorts of like crap. So I'm thinking something kind of like that. So hopefully when I press 3, all I have to do, I'm going to move these. Oh wait, no, I want to rotate them a little bit more. So I'm going to rotate them like that, and I'm going to move them in right about here. And for this right here, all I'm going to do is just move that in. Press 1 on the keyboard, because I don't just want to move them in, I also want to move them back and move these into position. So this way everything lines up the way it should. Move this out just a little bit, something kind of like that I'm thinking. Probably need to move this up just a little bit. So something like that, that should be fine. And we're going to press 3 on the keyboard, so looks a little whack, but that's okay. We'll tweak this a little bit later on in this tutorial series. Or if you want, you can just simply click right here on this vertice, and you can click down here on this bottom one and just move this over. I actually need to turn on X-ray for this, because this is going to get crowded very quickly. Move that up there. I'm actually going to close this edge loop off right here. So now when I press 3, let me turn off X-ray. You see that we have that nice sharp shape there. And we'll have to, because I manipulated this side, we will have to delete half of this and then mirror it across. But, I mean, a couple keystrokes. Come on, man. It's not that difficult. So, just like, oh, no, that's vertice. Select the faces, and before we do that, if you remember, we created this little guy down here. So I'm actually going to create an edge loop right here, and now I'm going to go in and delete these faces. And the whole purpose of this edge loop is this way when we mirror it, we still have these edges to work off of. So that's the only reason why I even did that to begin with. So for the door, right. For the door is what we're going to, the deer. We're just going to add an edge loop right here. We'll add one right here. I'm keeping these down here pretty tight. And this way, whenever I go in to smooth it, I'll keep most of that. I'll keep most of the smoothness on it. And I also need to add one that's probably right about here inside the window. And then I'm going to add one back here. See what we get. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So then we need to go in here. Now, one thing I want to say real quickly. Oh man, I need to zoom out. Oh, come on. Okay, so this does have a slight curve to it. It's not much of a curve, but I would recommend putting these about like that. So this way, when we smooth it, now we have that curve that we kind of expect to see. So let me go ahead and add an edge loop right there. Right here you could do one, but if the stopping point is right here, I'd add one right about here. This way it has that curve, how this actually curves down. And then for right here, let me go and take a look at this real quick in the 3D view. Okay, so yeah, we still need to add another one up here. And so now that'll give us that nice curve right there. We'll add one more down here, something kind of like that. So now we have this nice door shape. Now for this one right here, let me press 1 on the keyboard. I'm actually going to go into this view. I'm going to go into vertex, and something you can do is you can actually bring this up about like that and then pull this one back, so when you hit 3, now we have a softer edge right there. It doesn't just go meh, meh. So user preference. I'm going to pull this forward just a little bit. I'm going to pull this one forward just a little. Yeah, that's too much. There we go. Let's see, that one should be fine. Those should be fine. Okay. So this is our basic door shape. As you can see, it's a very pretty door shape. So now that we have done that, we can go and hit Control-Shift-D and duplicate this across. We'll combine it. We'll go into Edge. We'll go into Edge. There we go. We're going to double-click on these edges right here. We'll hit Bridge. And we'll do the same down here. I'm just going to press G on the keyboard since that was the last tool I used. And we all know how much I hate these extra edges, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those because, not really needed. If you're going to have it where, some of these vehicles, the center right here actually curves up. If you're going to have that, then I'd recommend leaving those edges. Or you can just, if you're just now like, man, I just deleted them, you idiot, then you can just simply add them in like that, and not a big deal. But some of these vehicles do have it where, like this section right here, it actually kind of curves up like this. But I might keep these here. I don't know. I'll have to kind of debate on that. I am going to delete them right now, though. If I have to add them in later on, I will. That won't be an issue at all. So I'm going to go ahead and save the scene for now. The door. That's right. The door. Okay, so right here, these actually curve in, but they're kind of, I'm not going to say sharp edges, but they definitely have a groove. So is what I want to do, if I can select the right object, I'm going to press 1 on the keyboard, and I'm actually going to create another edge loop, probably right about here. The only sole purpose of this edge loop is it will help me create this shape that I am looking for. So we're going to click on the Cut Face tool. And I'm actually going to go to this one. I'm going to press, actually before I do that, let me go and close it off there. And then right here, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to this edge loop, or this edge, whatever, and close off at that vertex. Right here, I'll go here, go down, and then here. And then I'll click on this vertex, I'll click here, go down here, and close it off there. So now we have the basic handle shape. And in this view, I'm going to just make sure that all these are closed off and they look like they are. So we should be all right there. The next thing I want to do is go into vertex. I need to actually flatten these out. So I'm just going to click R on the keyboard and flatten those out right there. And I'm going to take these. Actually, I'm going to take all of these. I'm just going to flatten them out like that. And so this way everything's nice and uniform. After that, I'm going to select this face. Now, to do this, you're going to do a series of extrusions. So the first one, you're just barely going to move it in. This is actually that's probably too much. So as you can see, I'm keeping this pretty tight. I'm going to click on Extrude again. And this time when I do it, I'm actually, once I move it in, I'm going to scale it. That probably doesn't need to be scaled in like that, but it does need to be scaled in the Y-axis. That is kind of crucial. If you want it to be more flat, you can make it more flat. Just make sure you give it a little bit more depth. And then we're going to scale it one more time. And then we're just going to, not scale it, we're going to extrude it one more time. Then we're just going to extrude a little bit. So now we have this shape. So if you want, I definitely want more of a handle shape like I'd come to expect. So I'm thinking something kind of like that should be good. So now is what we will do is we'll click right here. I'm actually going to move it real close to this line. I'm going to click to this line down here. Let's see, probably something kind of like that. I'm going to close it off down here. I'm going to do the same thing right over here. And so I'm just trying to keep this close. The advantage of doing this over an edge loop is that there will be less polygonal faces. And that is really the biggest advantage. So I'm going to click there. On this edge loop, it won't let me. So I'm going to go probably something like that, I'm thinking. And it doesn't really matter if you It doesn't matter if you're on this side of it or if you're on this side, as long as it's on one of the sides. Oh, wrong one. Nope, still won't do it. Nope, it hates me. Okay, what is going on here? Maya, why must you do this to me? Okie dokie. Okay. As long as I got something. So I'm going to move that here, and then I'm going to close off there. Let's press 3 on the keyboard. There we go. So now we have our nice little door handle shape. And I'm not too terribly worried about if you see this or not. I mean, to fix it, it's really just this little box right here. You can literally just double click on that edge, pull it down, and pull it back. And by doing so, when you hit 3, as you can see, it's like uniform. So that's why I'm not really too worried about that. I saw that. We can also fix this little issue right over here. This is literally just a monstrosity. This is going to be a little bit more difficult to fix, and the only reason is because of how close we are to it. So I'm going to select these, pull these down. I'm going to select that vertex. I'm just going to pull this back about like that. So now when we press 3, it should be just about gone, and it is. So yeah, there we go. So now that we've created our basic door handle shape, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the side view. I'm going to create a cube. It's going to be a beautiful cube. Okay, sorry. I'm just going to scale it down right about there. I'm going to scale it in, and probably I actually need to scale it in just a little bit more, and then I'll scale it down just a little bit more. I'm going to move it up to about here. So now we have this beautiful shape. Scale it in, something kind of like that. Let me move it in just a little bit. There we go. So what I need to do is, first thing I need to do, and I'll probably be manipulating the crap out of this, so don't be surprised. So what I want to do is I want to actually extrude this out. I'm going to go down and in, and then I'm going to click on edge loop. I'm going to create an edge loop down here, pretty tight to the bottom. But right here I'm going to give it some distance. So when I hit 3, we have this shape. So the next thing I want to do is in object mode, I want to scale it out, something kind of like that. And then I'm going to rotate it up. And then I'm going to take these faces down here. I'm actually going to move these down. Something kind of like that. I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to scale these in. I'm going to press G on the keyboard. I'm just going to move these up just a little bit. I'm going to scale them in a little bit more. I'm going to press G one more time. I'm going to scale them up. And if you want to delete these faces, you can. That's completely up to you. So now we have this shape. When we press 3 on the keyboard, now we have this shape. And that looks pretty much like a door handle. I don't know what y'all think, but I think that looks like a door handle. I'm just going to move it up just a little bit. So that's how I create a door handle. And you can always give this a little bit more definition, completely up to you, completely optional. I'm just showing you the way I do it. Of course, everyone's going to have their own preference. You're going to be like, man, that's stupid. This is the way I would do it. And if that's your preference, I mean, by all means, dude, go for it. Outdo the guy who taught you this stuff. Because if you're able to outdo me, and you're watching my tutorials to help you out, then that is awesome. I mean, that is just epic. So, anyways, yeah, that's all I'm doing is I'm just kind of like making small little tweaks here and there. Nothing too crazy or major, just something that, you know, gives it that nice definition. So anyways, the next thing we need to do is we need to create the lock on it. Now this doesn't have a lock, but on the other one, the image I took, let me go into, just click on computer, go into desktop, click on tutorial, wherever it's at, and we're going to go into S10. So one of these images right here. So this does curve in. You don't have to have that. You can actually just have this protruding out, completely optional. I want this thing to have semi-photorealism, but at the same time I want a low poly count. And so with that being said, I'm not going to have this where it concaves in like this. I'm just going to have this little lock cylinder thing. So I'm actually just going to create an object, a cylinder, something like that, and I'm just going to move it out. Let me press F to zoom in on it. Now, one thing I do want to do is I want to go into the attribute editor, and under the polycylinder, I'm going to change the subdivision axes to 2, and the caps are going to be set to 2. So then I can just simply grab this edge, and I can go ahead and extrude this out, something kind of like that. I'm going to click on face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoa. Oh, come on. There we go. And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to click on the extrude tab, move this back just a little bit. I'm going to press G on the keyboard, move it back again, press G on the keyboard. I'm going to scale it in just a little bit, G on the keyboard, scale it in a little bit more. I'm going to press G on the keyboard one more time, and I'm going to move this out about here. So what we should have, if I press 3, we'll have this shape. And then I'm going to click on the edge loop tool, and I want to create an edge loop way up here where it's a tight profile. And that's the start of our key shape. So once I have done that, the next thing I want to do is I want to take this edge that goes all the way around. I'm going to extrude this inwards over it like this. Did I select the right edge? No, I did not. I want to select this edge and extrude it inwards. Something kind of like that. And then I'm going to go back into face. I'm going to click on these faces right here. I'm going to move these out. About right there. There we go. So now if I press 3, that's the shape we get. And I don't like how this one curves, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into face, and I'm actually going to extrude this out one more time. So I'm going to move back. I'm going to hit the extrude, move it forward right about there. I'm going to press G. I'm going to scale it down just a little bit. So now when I press 3, this should be nice and flat. And it is. So that's all I'm doing. I actually want to go into face mode real quick. FaceTime. And I'm going to select those. I'm just going to press delete. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to rotate this. Something kind of like that. I know it's not really rotated in real life, but, you know, it's art, man. It's what you make of it. I'm just going to set it in there like that. I actually move it down and then out. Something kind of like this, I'm thinking. That should be fine. Yeah. So anyways, there we go. And this way, whenever you smooth it, it's going to look awesome. Press 1 on the keyboard. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to press Control-G, Control-Shift-D, and then that will duplicate that across. So that's the basic outline of the Chevy S10 so far. Let's go ahead and knock the grill out real quick. The grill is actually going to be very easy. So in the channel box editor, I'm actually going to view the front image and get rid of the rear image. So the grill is just a very simple shape. You can either do this with cubes or you can do this with a plane. Completely optional. Diet Cola. Me, I think is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to go ahead and do the grill with a cube. And the reason why, because I'm actually going to start, I'm just going to start right about here. It doesn't really matter where you start. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it here into position. I want the translate X at 0. And I'm just going to scale it out. So what I will do is I will add an edge loop right here. I'm going to go into face. I'm going to delete that side of it. I'm sure y'all seen that coming a mile away. I'm going to move this up to about here. I'm going to move this one down to about here. I'm going to click, I actually need to stay on vertex. I'm going to move this out to about here. I'm going to go and click on face, and now I have just this face selected. I'm going to extrude this one out just a little bit. And I know this isn't matching up right now. We'll tweak that here in just a little bit. Next thing I want to do is go into my edge loop. I'm going to click on these, and I'm just going to create these right here. And so now when I go into face, I can just select down like this. I have the bottom part of the face selected. and then I can just simply extrude downwards, like so. And then I'm going to press G on the keyboard. I'm going to go down to here. Actually, I think I'm going to go down to about here, about halfway. I'm going to press G on the keyboard again. I'm going to go down to about, probably right about here. G on the keyboard, halfway. Go down here, G on the keyboard. Go down to here, G on the keyboard, halfway. Actually, that one probably needs to be brought up. So then all I have to do is select these faces. Actually, not those. I don't want to select that one. But these right here, though, are in the middle. You can just select all the way across. On these right here, just on the inside. Same thing with these. Just select the ones on the inside. Now I'm holding down Control. I'm deselecting these faces. And then I'll press Delete. So with those faces deleted, I can now click on Edge, Edge, Bridge. And I can do the same thing here. And I can do the same thing here. And now I'm just going across and bridging all of these together. And so basically just creating the grill. That's it. Let me go ahead and make sure I didn't delete that face, just to be on the safe side. And I didn't. Okay, good. That would have sucked if I did. I would have felt like an idiot. I mean, it would have been an easy fix, but, you know, still. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just extrude these out like this. So then the next thing I want to do is grab these. I'm going to move these in. I'm going to grab these. I'm going to move these in. I'm going to grab these. I'm going to move these in. And I'm actually going to work on the like the positioning of this here in just a minute. Right now I'm just trying to line up the grill as close as I can. Afterwards I'm going to go into face, and I want these outside faces selected. I'm just going to press Delete. So now we have this grill shape, and we need to go into Vertex. So what we're going to do, let's go and hide the front image. Those are way back there. Let's change this up, shall we? Something kind of like that. This is going to be moved right about here. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is just move these in like so. So we're actually kind of following the shape of this, I can't think of what that's called. We're following the shape of the thing. That's my new thing. If I can't think of a word, I'm just going to call it the thing. And I'm just going to hope y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. I mean, it seems legit. Seems logical. So anyways, all I'm doing now is just trying to match these up to the points of the hood. So something probably like that, I'm thinking. If you want to have this protrude out a little bit, you can. Completely user preference. I'm going to try and make it match as close as I can. I'm thinking something like that. It might stick out a little bit, but that's okay. I'm like, it's a Chevy. It's to be expected. Expect the unexpected. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to press Control-G, Control-Shift-D. I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to combine them. And then from here, all I'm going to do is just select on Edge. And I'm just going to go down the edge and start bridging all these together. And that's pretty much it for the grill. I know we have this huge gaping hole. We're going to be fixing all of that later on in the tutorial series. Right now I'm just trying to like throw all this stuff together and get it where it's looking decent. So then we'll go ahead and delete these edges. Now whenever you look at this in the view, this is going to look awfully squared. If you want to add your edge loops, because you don't just want to smooth this object, otherwise you'll get this little weird shape. If you like that, that's cool. I don't. So if you want to add some edge loops, you can, but be aware it will increase the resolution. But just for the hell of it, I'm going to go and show you what it would look like if you did. So I'm just going to do just this section over here, and I'm just going to add a few quick edge loops in here. I'm not going to take my time on them. And I'm sure some of you are like, oh man, come on, just get on with the tutorial. So in this case, I'll just do this one. Press 3. I'm going to go into object mode. And see, now you'll have that shape. If you, which actually we need to grab the vertexes. We go into this mode. beast mode. There we go. So then you'll have this shape right here. And so if you like that shape, that's great. That's how you do it. But I'm actually trying to stay away from all that extra polygonal resolution, and so that's why I'm not doing that. So let me go ahead and grab the grill again. I'm just going to pull it forward. So I actually want that to have a pretty tight profile. Yeah, maybe a little bit thicker than that. I'm like, you know, those grills are plastic, so naturally they're going to have a little bit more thickness to them. So that's how you do the grill. There's several ways you can tweak that. Like me, honestly, I think that grill is a little too thin. So if you think the exact same thing I do, here's how to fix it. I'm going to grab these bottom vertices. I'm just going to pull down just a little bit. I'm going to shift select. I'm going to pull these up. And then for these, I'm going to grab all of this side, like so. For these, I'm actually have to go in there and select these individually. And I'm just going to pull these over like so. I'm going to shift select to get these now. I'm going to shift select all of these in the middle. And I'm going to deselect these right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to pull these over like that. And that's how you can make a thicker grill. Completely optional, completely up to you, user preference. But I think this grill looks a little bit better. We're still going to have the honeycomb shape whenever we do that. If you like it, that's awesome. I'm glad you do. But yeah, I might tweak this. I don't know. User preference. You get it. You get the idea. I don't know how many more times I'm going to say user preference till you all like decide just to jump through the monitor and, you know, kick my ass or something. So, anyways. Let's see, we got a few more things to add, like we have to add the mirrors and stuff, the windshield. The windshield is cake. Y'all are going to love how easy that is. So I'm thinking in the next tutorial, we'll probably start working on the bed, and then after the bed, we'll work on the tailgate, the lights, and then we'll start working on the rest of the components. How many faces is this truck? So we're only at 3,300 faces, less than 3,350. That's actually respectable. Especially considering that it's really doesn't look all that bad. So, anyways, we're going to continue on this pick 'em up on the next tutorial series, and I will see y'all there.